All right, let's now go across to the 2 days of the Munich Security Conference, where NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and also the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is, of course, delivering her welcome remarks.
This is what the Kremlin's policies mean in practice. To instill fear and call it security demands, to deny 44 million Ukrainians from deciding freely about their own future, to deny a free country's right to independence and self-determination. And the consequences of this approach matter well beyond Ukraine. The Kremlin is not only trying to undermine the entire European security architecture, the Helsinki principles that have made all European countries safer, including Russia. It is also violating the UN Charter, which states that countries, and I cite, shall refrain from the threat and use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. End of citation. We cannot let this stand. We're facing a blatant attempt to rewrite the rules of the international order. One only has to read the recent communiqué issued by Russian and Chinese leaders. They seek a new era, as they say, to replace the existing international rules. They prefer the rule of the strongest to the rule of law, intimidation instead of self-determination, coercion instead of cooperation. We still hope that peace will prevail and that diplomacy will take us there. And allow me to address how Europe can support this work. First, we should be ready to respond. Our European Union, with our transatlantic partners, we have been preparing a robust package of financial and economic sanctions, including on energy and cutting-edge technology. If the Kremlin strikes, we can impose high costs and severe consequences on Moscow's economic interests. The Kremlin's dangerous thinking, which comes straight out of a dark past, may cost Russia a prosperous future. Second is diversification. A strong European Union cannot be so reliant on an energy supplier that threatens to start a war on our continent. Gazprom, a Russian state-owned company, is deliberately trying to store and deliver as little as possible. While prices and demand are skyrocketing, this is a very strange behavior for a company. We must diversify both our suppliers and our energy sources. And the work is already underway. We have reached out to our partners and friends across the globe, and today I can say that even in case of full disruption of gas supply from Russia, we are on the safe side for this winter. And in the medium and long term, we're doubling down on renewables. Sun, wind, hydropower, green hydrogen. This will increase Europe's strategic independence for energy. My third point is supporting democracy in Ukraine. For 7 years now, the Russian leadership has tried to destabilize Ukraine. Hybrid war, cyber attacks, disinformation, you name it. Yet, the country is now stronger than 7 years ago because it has chosen the path of democracy and the friendship of other democracies. Think again about the youth of Ukraine, the post-Soviet generation. They know that their democracy is not perfect, but it is perfectible, and it is getting stronger year by year. And this is what makes us stand out from autocracies. Thriving democracies are the autocrats' greatest fear, because their propaganda fails when citizens are empowered by the reporting of independent media and the free exchange of ideas. Because free citizens speak truth to power. Because trust and confidence are more sustainable than control and coercion. And this is exactly why Europe is supporting Ukraine's path to democracy. It makes Ukraine a better place to live for its people and a better neighbor for both the European Union and Russia. And my fourth and final point is about unity. Since the start of this Kremlin-made crisis, the European Union and the transatlantic community are fully aligned and united. We're supporting Ukraine to withstand the enormous pressure from Moscow. When a Russian government tried to divide us over and over again, we have responded with one voice and one common message. And this has been possible also thanks to you, dear Jens. You always pushed us to focus on what we have in common. You have shown that the European Union and NATO stand side by side, not only because we share members and allies, but because we share values. That is independence, respect for human rights, freedom, and democracy. The very values that are at stake in this crisis. And this is why it makes me proud and happy to announce that you are this year's Kleist Award winner. You have come a long way to reach this high office. When you were young, you were the head of the Young Socialists in Norway, an organization that at the time was certainly not known to be a strong supporter of NATO, not at all. But young Jens used his charm and his leadership to turn the young Norwegian socialists around in supporters, believe it or not. As Prime Minister of Norway, you, Jens, had to deal with Russia on a regular basis. Actually, by then, Lavrov was already being Lavrov. And yet, you managed with skill to resolve a decades-long territorial dispute in the Barents Sea. Dear Jens, you have always been a man of dialogue and a believer in the transatlantic bond.
So that was Ursula von der Leyen there stating that diplomacy is the way forward for resolving the Ukrainian crisis. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.